Something strange is happening in Cleveland, and at first glance, nobody could explain it. The Browns traded up to get Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who came into the league with hype, potential, and pressure unlike anything we've seen in years. The spotlight was already bright, the expectations were massive, and critics lined up before he even took a snap. People said he wasn't ready. They said the NFL would expose him. They said the moment he touched the field, reality would hit him like a brick wall. But here, where things take a bizarre turn, because the loudest critic of them all just flipped sides. Rex Ryan, the same guy who publicly doubted Shedeur, the same guy who questioned his toughness and called out his confidence, suddenly went live and defended him harder than anyone. Not casually, not lightly. He exploded, and the things he revealed shocked everyone. Because according to Rex, Shedeur wasn't just thrown into a tough situation, he was set up to fail. Not metaphorically, not emotionally, literally. No preparation, no rhythm, no game speed reps, no real practice with the first team. So now the question isn't, is Shedeur ready for the NFL? The new question is way darker. Why would a franchise trade up for a quarterback and then refuse to develop him? And once that question entered the conversation, the entire tone around Shedeur's first NFL appearance changed. Suddenly, fans weren't blaming him, they were blaming the Browns. Because when the game was tied 16-16 against the Ravens, one of the toughest defenses in football, and starter Dillon Gabriel went down, Shedeur was forced in. Cold, unprepared, with zero chemistry with the offensive line, and zero experience running a live NFL cadence with the starters. Think about that. You train, you study, you learn the system. You get drafted to replace the future. You're supposed to be the face of the franchise. And when your moment finally comes, the team that drafted you hasn't even given you the basic reps to communicate with the players protecting you. If you're enjoying this video and loving the content, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. It really helps us know what you want to see more of. And why keep all the excitement to yourself? Share this video with your friends, family, or anyone who loves NFL drama. The sideline reaction was instant. Players who'd stayed silent finally stood up, helmets tapped, gloves pointed, heads nodded. Not because of yardage. Not because of the throw itself. But because in a situation tailor-made for failure, Shedeur showed something coaches can't scheme and opponents can't prepare for. Poise under chaos. There was no panic in his eyes. No hesitation in his body language. No surrender in his approach. For the first time since entering the game, the Browns' offense felt alive. The energy shifted. The Ravens' defense, dominant and disciplined, suddenly had to account for a quarterback who wouldn't go quietly. The stadium, which moments earlier felt tense and uncertain, now buzzed with something dangerous. Possibility. Because that throw wasn't just completion. It was a message. A message to the coaching staff that preparation might slow him down, but lack of preparation wouldn't bury him. A message to his teammates that he wasn't a stunt, a placeholder, or a sacrificial decision. A message to the league that he wasn't just Shedeur Sanders' son. He was a quarterback with his own identity, his own fire, and his own future. In that moment, with chaos around him and pressure on every side, Shedeur Sanders didn't just enter the NFL. He arrived. If the league was already buzzing, Rex Ryan didn't just add to the conversation, he detonated it. What started as routine post-game analysis suddenly turned into a moment that froze the studio and sent shockwaves through every NFL circle, every Browns fanbase thread, and every front office boardroom. Rex didn't ease into it. He didn't soften the language. He didn't try to be diplomatic. Instead, he looked directly into the camera and said the sentence that no coach wants broadcast on national television. This wasn't evaluation, this was sabotage. The room went silent. Analysts shifted in their seats. The host blinked, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let it burn. Producers scrambled through their headsets, trying to decide if this was commentary or an allegation. But Rex wasn't done. He broke down the exact timeline, the preparation gap, the lack of reps, the absence of game plan integration. He explained what every former coach, former quarterback, and NFL executive already understood, but hadn't said publicly. You do not throw a rookie quarterback into a live division game, mid-drive, without preparation, unless you're trying to prove a point, not win a football game. Then he leaned forward and dropped the line that changed everything. You don't put a kid in cold unless you want the result to justify your decision, and that's exactly what happened. The shock wasn't that Rex said it. The shock was that someone with his resume finally spoke what insiders had been whispering privately for weeks. He laid it out clearly. Shedeur wasn't given protection calls tailored to his style. He wasn't given timing reps. He wasn't even given the courtesy of live chemistry work with his receivers. Then Rex did something even bolder. He defended Shedeur. He praised the pocket escapes. He praised the competitive fire. He praised the refusal to fold under conditions meant to break him. And then he said something that made the clip go viral within minutes. That kid has franchise DNA, and instead of nurturing it, Cleveland just tried to embarrass it. Social media exploded. Players reposted the clip with angry emojis. Former quarterbacks quoted it with phrases like facts, and finally someone said it. Analysts who usually stay neutral suddenly had opinions. And inside the Browns' facility, you could feel the temperature shift. Because once a figure like Rex Ryan publicly questions integrity, not strategy, not decision-making, but integrity, that conversation doesn't go away. It doesn't fade. It doesn't dissolve after one media cycle. It becomes a headline, then a narrative, then a problem. Rex didn't just criticize the coaching decision. He flipped the burden of proof. If the Browns' coaching staff wants the world to believe this was about competition, development, or evaluation, then they now carry the responsibility of proving it. Because once Rex Ryan said the quiet part out loud, the entire football world stopped asking, why did Shedeur struggle? And started asking, why was he set up too? If there's one word that keeps surfacing from insiders, analysts, and even players, it's this: negligence. Not miscommunication, not confusion, not an unfortunate coaching mistake. Negligence, the kind that signals internal dysfunction and exposes fractures no public relations statement can smooth over. Because when you strip away the excuses, the vague explanations, and the carefully rehearsed press conference language, the facts remain painfully simple. A first-round franchise quarterback was placed into a hostile divisional matchup with zero preparation, and that didn't happen by accident. Throughout the week leading up to the game, there were no first-team walkthroughs involving Shedeur, no chemistry-building routes, no protective adjustments tailored to his mobility, no situational film sessions centered around the Ravens' blitz packages. The game plan wasn't just incomplete, it was non-existent. And that's where the negligence becomes impossible to ignore. Front offices don't invest the draft capital Cleveland did without expecting a developmental structure. Quarterbacks are groomed deliberately, methodically, and professionally. They're onboarded with precision. Timing and familiarity aren't luxuries in the NFL, they're requirements. Every franchise understands that. Except, apparently, this one. Players inside the facility noticed the disconnect before the public ever did. Receivers openly questioned why they weren't working deeper route combos with Shedeur. Offensive linemen reportedly expressed concern that cadence patterns hadn't been addressed. Even backups on the depth chart recognized how wrong the preparation felt. Yet nothing changed. No adjustments. No late corrections. No last-minute shift in structure. It was as if the coaching staff had already decided the outcome before kickoff. And here's the part that makes executives furious. The Browns weren't just unprepared. They violated the fundamental duty every NFL staff has to its players. The duty to prepare them, protect them, and position them to succeed. Instead, Shedeur was thrown into a live game with championship-level defenders treating him like fresh prey. Not because he wasn't capable, but because the organization failed to give him even the baseline support expected of a rookie. Negligence isn't about one bad decision. It's about a pattern. A pattern of shutting him out of the first team's script. A pattern of avoiding direct communication. A pattern of treating him like a problem, not a priority. And now, that negligence has consequences. Ownership is asking questions. Analysts are uncovering inconsistencies. Fans who once trusted the process are now wondering if there ever was a process at all. Because this isn't just about a quarterback. It's about an organization exposing its own lack of unity, structure, and accountability. And the uncomfortable reality. The damage isn't contained to one game. It's now part of the Browns' identity, and the football world is watching to see whether they fix it. Or deny it until it destroys everything. When you turn on the tape, and not the highlight edits or emotion-filled crowd clips, but the actual all-22 film, the truth hits harder than any headline or hot take. Because on film, excuses disappear, narratives collapse, and what you're left with is raw evidence. The first thing that jumps off the screen, disconnection. On Shedeur's opening snap, before the ball even leaves his hand, you see confusion ripple down the offensive line. His cadence, the rhythm every QB and lineman must share, wasn't synchronized. Not one lineman fires off confidently. Half move late. One never moves at all. The Ravens' defensive front, they're already in motion, already attacking, already smelling blood. The next play, the protection fails again, but this time it's not because Baltimore threw some exotic, unheard-of pressure. No, it's because Cleveland didn't adjust the slide protection. There was no audible, no hot route, no check protection. Shedeur takes the snap, looks to his first read, and before he can reset his feet, bang, an unblocked rusher is already in his lap. That tells you something. He wasn't prepared to run this offense. Skip forward to the interception, the one everyone used as ammo online. Watch it closely. The design calls for a timing route to the outside shoulder, a throw that only works if the receiver cuts precisely when the QB releases the ball. Shedeur releases it on time. The receiver, he's late and drifts his route too far inside. The defender doesn't even need elite instincts. The ball comes straight to him.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button.
Right now, everything surrounding Shedeur Sanders feels intense. The narrative, the pressure, the headlines, the expectations. But underneath all of that noise lies something far more real. The stakes have shifted. This is no longer about hype. No longer about college legacy. No longer about viral clips, swagger, or potential. This is about whether an NFL franchise can build its future around him, or if he becomes another name in a long list of quarterbacks who had a moment, but not a career. And that's why the stakes are enormous. For the franchise, organizations don't just draft quarterbacks, they marry them. A franchise quarterback determines coaching stability, offensive identity, personnel spending, draft strategy, future free agent decisions, fan belief, and financial momentum. One player changes everything. If Shedeur succeeds, the team becomes attractive to top-tier receivers, veteran linemen, and coordinators looking to attach their name to a rising star. If he fails, the entire organizational timeline resets, leading to firings, rebuilding, and another multi-year gamble. His progression isn't just personal. It's structural. For his family legacy. Being a Sanders means the spotlight never shuts off. For better or worse, Shedeur isn't just playing for himself. He's playing under a last name that has weight in this sport. His father rewrote expectations as a player. Shedeur's job is to rewrite expectations as a quarterback. Failure wouldn't just be a football outcome, it would be a narrative weapon. Success wouldn't just be a win, it would be generational validation. For the locker room, Teammates don't commit blindly. They watch. Does he prepare like a pro? Does he show up in big moments? Does he own mistakes? Does he elevate others? A great quarterback becomes the gravitational center of a locker room. Players run harder, sacrifice more, and buy deeper when they believe their QB can take them somewhere meaningful. Right now, they are deciding for his mental trajectory. This stage of a quarterback's career is psychological as much as physical. If Shedeur grows from adversity, he becomes resilient, the kind of quarterback who thrives in playoffs, weather, pressure, and chaos. If he internalizes doubt, the game slows his confidence before he ever catches up to speed. This isn't about talent. It's about whether mindset can survive scrutiny. For the league, the NFL doesn't wait. It's cold, fast, unforgiving, and deeply invested in separating contenders from experiments. Right now, the league is watching to see which category he belongs in. And that is why this moment matters so much. This is the fork in the road, the moment where his career becomes one of two things: a cautionary footnote, or the start of something that defines a franchise. Because the truth is simple. The stakes aren't just high. They're career-defining. Does he prepare like a pro? Does he show up in big moments? Does he own mistakes? Does he elevate others? A great quarterback becomes the gravitational center of a locker room. Players run harder, sacrifice more, and buy deeper when they believe their QB can take them somewhere meaningful. Right now, they are deciding for his mental trajectory. This stage of a quarterback's career is psychological as much as physical. If Shedeur grows from adversity, he becomes resilient, the kind of quarterback who thrives in playoffs, weather, pressure, and chaos. If he internalizes doubt, the game slows his confidence before he ever catches up to speed. This isn't about talent. It's about whether mindset can survive scrutiny. For the league, the NFL doesn't wait. It's cold, fast, unforgiving, and deeply invested in separating contenders from experiments. Right now, the league is watching to see which category he belongs in. And that is why this moment matters so much. This is the fork in the road, the moment where his career becomes one of two things: a cautionary footnote, or the start of something that defines a franchise. Because the truth is simple. The stakes aren't just high. They are career-defining.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.